He was the whimsical, wild-eyed genius behind Willy Wonka. But Gene Wilder's real life was anything but sweet. As a child, he was bullied and assaulted. Why did he have to suffer that? And how did it shape the man behind the purple coat? Then there's his rumored feud with Richard Pryor. They were comedy legends together. But behind the scenes, Wilder had some very real hatred for his co-star. What actually went down? And his relationship with his adopted daughter. Let's just say it was close enough to spark disturbing rumors. Rumors that still have people asking questions today. All of it, the trauma, the tension, the secrets, is in this video. The man who played Wonka had a life far darker than you think. Part 1. Role in Willy Wonka and cultural impact. Willy Wonka wasn't the typical hero. He was strange, guarded, brilliant, and possibly a little dangerous. But when Gene Wilder took on the role in 1971, he didn't soften the character. He deepened him. With a glint in his eye and a voice that danced between whimsy and warning, Wilder turned Roald Dahl's eccentric chocolatier into something mythic. Part magician, part moral philosopher, part mystery. From the beginning, Wilder had a vision. He agreed to play Wonka only if his entrance involved a limp, a cane, and a sudden forward somersault. From that moment on, he explained, no one will know if I'm lying. That became the heartbeat of his performance. Always just off-center, always unreadable. You didn't know if he'd hand you a golden ticket or pull the rug out from under you. And that's what made it timeless. Critics at the time were divided, but Wilder's performance slowly became legendary. Generations of viewers came to love the unpredictability, the dry wit, the flashes of anger beneath the velvet coat. Unlike more literal remakes, Wilder's Wonka wasn't just odd, he was layered. Magical, yes, but also melancholic. He tested the children not with whimsy, but with consequence. To understand how Wilder captured that kind of nuance, you have to start much earlier, with a boy from Milwaukee who learned very young how to hide pain behind a smile. Part 2. Early life before Willy Wonka. Gene Wilder was born Jerome Silberman on June 11, 1933 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His father was a novelty shop owner, and his mother suffered from chronic heart problems. When Gene was 8, a doctor gave him an impossible assignment: try to make her laugh. It was less advice than a survival tactic, and Gene took it seriously. But the world outside their home was less kind. At school, he was bullied, targeted for being sensitive, artistic, Jewish. And then came something far worse. Around that same age, Gene was sexually assaulted by a fellow student. It was a trauma he rarely discussed, but it shaped the way he moved through life. With caution, with layers, with emotional armor. He found comfort in performance. By 13, he was acting in community theater. In college, he studied theater formally, first at the University of Iowa and then at the Bristol Old Vic Theater School in England. Later, in New York, he trained under Lee Strasberg. Acting wasn't about applause, it was about escape. It let him step outside his skin, if only for a while. By the time he reached adulthood, that little boy who was told to make her laugh had become a man who knew exactly how to make audiences feel, because he had lived through things they couldn't see. Part 3. Career before and after Willy Wonka. Wilder's early career unfolded steadily. His first big break came with The Producers, 1968, playing the wildly anxious Leo Bloom. The performance earned him an Oscar nomination and put him on the map. His ability to move from nervous breakdown to heartfelt sincerity in a single breath became a signature. That led to other roles: Bonnie and Clyde, Start the Revolution Without Me, and eventually Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Though it wasn't an immediate hit, the film's long-term impact was undeniable, thanks in no small part to Wilder's masterful performance. The years after Wonka saw his most celebrated collaborations. With Mel Brooks, he co-wrote and starred in Young Frankenstein and played major roles in Blazing Saddles and The Producers. Then came Richard Pryor. Their chemistry was electric. Films like Silver Streak, Stir Crazy, and See No Evil, Hear No Evil became hits because of the tension and trust between them. Wilder played restraint, Pryor, fire. Their timing was natural, but that ease on screen masked a more complicated friendship behind the scenes. In the 1990s, Wilder stepped back from film. He focused on writing, memoirs, novels, screenplays, and made only a few appearances in television. He chose quality over quantity, precision over exposure, and by then, he had nothing left to prove. Part 4. Personal life and off-screen truths. Wilder's personal life was filled with both love and painful distance. His marriage to comedian Gilda Radner was brief and tragic, cut short by her battle with ovarian cancer. Her death devastated him. He spent years raising awareness and funds for cancer research, speaking with a rare blend of grief and grace. But some of his most private struggles were harder to explain. After marrying Mary Joan Schutz, he adopted her daughter, Catherine. Their relationship fractured after his divorce from her mother. The estrangement lasted for decades. Though he rarely spoke about it, those close to him understood the regret. He'd written stories about connection and forgiveness, but in life, some wounds stayed open. His creative partnership with Richard Pryor, too, held complexity. Wilder admired Pryor's brilliance, but Pryor's addiction often strained their working relationship. Wilder once said he felt both close to and distant from Pryor at the same time, bonded by laughter, separated by demons. Still, he never spoke ill of him. Their connection, however imperfect, was real. His early childhood trauma, bullying and assault, left an imprint he never fully erased. It contributed to his sense of emotional caution. He could be warm, but he rarely let people in fully. He wasn't aloof. He was just protecting something fragile inside. In his later years, Wilder retreated from public life. He painted, he gardened, he wrote books not about fame, but about memory, character, and quiet reflection. He didn't need a stage anymore. He had found peace in silence. Part 5. In 2025, where is he now? Gene Wilder passed away on August 29, 2016, from complications related to Alzheimer's disease. He was 83. His diagnosis had been kept private for years, and by choice. He didn't want to break hearts, especially the hearts of children who still saw him as Willy Wonka. Since his death, his work has only grown in significance. His films are still studied, his books still read, his performances still quoted. There have been tributes, documentaries, and endless attempts to recapture what he did so effortlessly. None have quite succeeded. He left behind a very specific kind of legacy, not just as a comedian or a performer, but as someone who turned pain into art and vulnerability into strength. He wasn't interested in being a movie star. He was interested in telling the truth, even when it was hidden behind a joke. In 2025, Gene Wilder remains one of the most quietly powerful figures in film history. A man whose smile held shadows, whose silences spoke volumes, and whose version of Willy Wonka still lingers. Haunting, delightful, and just mysterious enough to never quite explain.